It's Alexandra Harbushka here, founder of Life with Herpes. Okay, I'm really excited to be back on another podcast with our friend, Coach Sarah Joy. Now, I have to preface because we've been trying to figure out how to schedule this. You guys, I haven't announced it to the community. This is coming out after, but I am 9 months pregnant. You guys, you're going to see this. I am pregnant. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
so
big baby.
Cute.
This is Halloween. I left my Halloween sweatshirt on. I normally dress a little bit nicer for podcasts, but I'm like, this is a second in a lifetime opportunity for me to be super pregnant doing this and talking about health and herpes and while I'm pregnant. So anyways, I had to just do that little shout out for a new baby.
Congratulations. Yes.
We're so excited. Baby's going to come any day. So let's get right to Coach Sarah Joy. We've been texting back and forth for about a month or a couple months now about how excited she is to drop some bombs on us. So I'm going to hand it over and you go for it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back for the third time. What's up, my beautiful Life with Herpes crew? Seriously, I just want to let you know that you have an incredible crew, and I'm just going to call them that because they're your girls. From my previous episodes, you have no idea like how many of your ladies have come over to my page and they've been sharing their stories with me. And some of them have even jumped right into my coaching programs. And it really has been so amazing.
I love that.
I do too. So many fabulous women that I'm getting to know. So for those of you who are new to me, hi, I'm Coach Sarah Joy. I am a holistic health practitioner and a hybrid master coach. I have a certification as a transformational nutrition coach, as well as a degree in health and fitness, but I also have some spiritual gifts going on. I'm a clairvoyant, clairaudient, claircognizant, and clair empath, which makes me a psychic, medium, medical intuitive. So I specialize in advanced diagnostic testing to support my clients or people in general facing chronic health challenges. And what made me go this route was I'm a former chronic illness warrior myself. I was sick from 25 daily symptoms for 10 years. And I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, Epstein-Barr. I struggled with HSV1 oral breakouts for 20 years. And just like you guys, I was left hanging by all the doctors on both sides, Eastern and Western. So I got pretty sick and got to the point where I wanted to give up on life. And I was kind of ready to die in 2015. It was really sad. So suddenly out of nowhere in 2016, my brother was shot 14 times by the San Diego Police Department. It kind of woke me up from like that miserable state I was in. And I just decided to change my entire life. So since then, I've successfully reversed all of my symptoms and undiagnosed myself. I now focus on helping people get the answers to why they are sick and suffering, so they never have to, just feel like they're being gaslighted by doctors again. And I do this in my holistic programs where I use state-of-the-art gut and vaginal mapping tests that are more than 15 years ahead of mainstream doctors. And I do focus on people that are struggling from hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, Hashimoto's, even post-thyroid surgery, as well as people with poor gut health, vaginal symptoms like herpes breakouts, odors, discharge, and infertility, as well as viral infections and hormone imbalances. So it's an honor to do what I do, and I am very passionate about it because once upon a time, I couldn't get answers or guidance or direction either. So
And that's one of the things. Well, first of all, I'm stoked to have you back. I know my community loves you. You pop into our private community and you just are like a wealth of knowledge when you pop in. People are like, whoa, Coach Sarah Joy is back. And they've been asking like, when is she coming back? When is she coming back? Mm-hmm. Anyways. But this is the thing is I get so many women specifically. I have men and women in my community, but women that go, I'm getting back-to-back outbreaks. I don't know why. I'm getting back-to-back UTIs. I don't know why. I'm getting this. I'm on the antiviral. I'm still getting outbreaks. I don't understand. And I'm like, you got to talk to Coach Sarah Joy. I don't know. Like I don't know what the problem, I have an idea what the problem is. There's an imbalance, but this is why we need Coach Sarah Joy to break it down for you and explain to you what's going on and then get specific. So
and thank you for saying that, because you basically just prefaced what I'm going to talk about today, because
great.
Yeah. So we'll get there, because that's my
Okay.
plan. Those like exact concerns.
Okay.
But in all honesty, over the past year, since I've been talking to a lot of your community members, there have been a lot of really sad messages that have come in.
Mhm.
So I really want to start this episode off with a message of hope and love. Okay. So I personally dedicate this podcast episode to all of the women from your community that have reached out to me, because they are the ones that inspired me to do this. That's why I wanted to come back on and share all the things that I have to say today with you and them. So all of you women that are struggling with chronic and constant herpes breakouts, that have a lowered quality of life, and now because of the breakouts, you find yourself struggling with thoughts of worthlessness, shame, and embarrassment, and maybe even considering whether or not you want to stay alive. I want you to know that your body is a miraculous healing machine, and it can heal when you give it what it needs to improve. And regardless, okay, if you have consistent breakouts right now, you are still so beautiful. You are worthy of love, and you deserve a healthy and happy relationship in your life. And I encourage you all to let go of the resentment and anger towards the person who gave you the virus and focus your energy on healing yourself. Because when you are leaking your energy into that anger, it only worsens your condition. So please call your power back and step into this knowledge that I'm about to share with you now. Okay.
Thank you for acknowledging that, because that's everything that we go through when we're diagnosed. And I like to use the example of, Snow White and the poison apple. You having that resentment, that anger, that frustration, that hatred towards whomever it is or was, you're literally giving yourself the poison apple.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
So think of that.
Yes. Good point. That's a good analogy. I like that visual. Okay. So let's dig in. All right. So like you're saying, a lot of you message me and tell me how frustrated you are because you're taking antivirals and you're still getting breakouts, and that you struggle with breakouts right before your period. So my intention for today is to provide some deep insights and education about the vaginal microbiome. And I want to try to fill in the gaps to why you're experiencing this. Okay. So since I've been working with women in my signature program called the Vaginal and Viral Restoration, where I use a state-of-the-art vaginal mapping test that shows me and my clients a comprehensive view of their vaginal ecosystems, I've realized that most women don't know much about their vaginal microbiome. And it's not your fault. I didn't either before I started studying this on my own. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, there's no real education happening in most women's lives, or even in like health or anatomy classes in school that teaches us this stuff. So because of these knowledge gaps, this carries over to not knowing how to properly take care of or treat our vaginas when they become imbalanced or infected. So when I was sitting down with this, I was like, where would I really need to begin? So I realized I need to start off with a basic breakdown of the vaginal microbiome. Okay. So starting there, all right. So number one, in our vagina, we have 11 different strains of good bacteria that can be present in the vagina. However, it's normal and even expected for the vagina to mainly be dominant in one strain of bacteria. And the best strain to be dominant in is called Lactobacillus crispatus. So dominating in good bacteria is super important to the overall health of the vagina, because these good bacteria produce what's called L-lactic acid. They excrete it. And this L-lactic acid is what keeps the pH in balance. So the majority of these good bacteria, with the exception of one that excrete the lactic acid, so let me go into that exception really fast. So when I'm looking at my clients' test results, it's very normal that I will see that they have maybe tiny little smidget values coming up on the test, or barely coming up on the test. It says LC, like in low concentrations, and it'll be in the crispatus, it'll be in the Guseri, and some of these other bacterial names. I don't expect you guys to remember the bacterial names. Just know that there's this one called Lactobacillus inners. And the majority of the women that come to me with consistent breakouts, they have a dominance in this one strain, Lactobacillus inners. This particular strain, even though it's categorized as a good bacteria, it's kind of like iffy. It's the iffy bacteria. And the reason why is because it produces more D-lactic acid than it does L-lactic acid. We don't want D-lactic acid. This is the one that puts us more alkaline.
Okay.
So, and when we are going more alkaline and we're dominant in the wrong good bacteria, that's when we have odors, discharge, breakouts, inflammation, pain, all of the things, BV. Okay.
I can't tell you how many women I talk to, whether it's on a TikTok live, whether it's in our community, whether it's a DM on Instagram, that are like, hey, is BV part of, like, does it, or the smell or the odor or this? And I was like, well, yes and no. Like, like most of the women are when they're diagnosed with herpes, they also either have BV, a yeast infection, or a UTI with it, or all of it, all four of them.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is right up. So for the women that are listening that are like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, this is what you need to hear. This is what you've been looking for, because you're like, I have pain, or I have this, or I have that. What is going on? So that you're right up the alley. So I interrupted you. I actually have one question. I am interrupting you again. Lactic acid. That is what is in our muscles after we work out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what hurts when you do too hard of a workout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But when it's located in the vaginal ecosystem, when the bacteria, they feed on the food that we eat. Okay. It's just like our gut bacteria, our vaginal bacteria, they feed on glucose-based food is what they prefer, which is like fruits and vegetables. Okay, so when we feed them the yummy foods and make them happy and nourish them and keep them healthy and strong and growing, then they excrete the L-lactic acid, and that controls the pH so that it can be down between the good range, which is 3 and 4.5. So that right there, just understanding that the main part of vaginal health is dominance within the good bacteria needs to be present. Okay, so let me keep going. So the second part that's crucial to vaginal health that makes up our ecosystem is our pH. Okay, the vaginal pH is a key indicator of vaginal health. So having a stable pH, it protects against harmful bacteria, parasites, fungi, STDs, and STIs. So if your good bacteria is gone or depleted, and your pH is off because of that, you are more susceptible to contracting infections. Okay, so think about, these are your defense mechanisms to having a healthy vaginal ecosystem. So some factors that can disrupt vaginal pH includes infections, antibiotics, hormone changes and birth control, semen, douching or putting irritants in the genital area, holding your urine, wearing tight underwear or tight clothes often, putting junky laundry detergent and dryer softeners and fabric softeners on your underwear, then you sit in that underwear all the time. Okay. Conventional tampons and pads. And what's really interesting about tampons is not only do they disrupt the pH, the conventional ones, but they actually literally suck up and absorb the good bacteria too. So they like double whammy your vaginal ecosystem. Sitting for long periods of time in toxic water, like spas, jacuzzis, or baths, and even the gel at the OBGYN's office throws off your good bacteria and your pH. Just one exposure to the gel at your pap or something can throw off your vaginal ecosystem. So
that's everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
So like as women, we're just effed. Like we just show up and there's nothing, that's probably why more women have herpes than men, is just, we're like, we don't even think about it. Like, oh, here's a tampon. I have my pap. I have, whatever, all detergents or what, you don't even think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Lube.
Yep. Yeah. So
condoms.
We really need to be mindful of what we're putting in and on our vaginas.
Something you've said in our support group is don't put anything in your vagina you wouldn't put in your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. And so be very mindful of getting clean sex lubricants. And for the gel for you, because you're going to have so much of that gel going up you, you can use don't you make a clean gel, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Use yours. I like the one called the personal gel by Aloe Life. It's an aloe based one. You can literally even take extra virgin olive oil with you to your doctors and be like, use this on me instead.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that feels overwhelming, but there are thankfully a lot of subs. There's a lot of really healthy subs nowadays. Like we can get conventional tampons that aren't full of a lot of pesticides and herbicides that are going to disrupt our ecosystem. And, please don't douche. Just don't. Just stop that. Don't spray perfumes down there. Don't douche. I know if you're struggling with odors, I would rather you actually start working on the root causes than mask them and make the situation worse with perfumes. I don't even like fragranced wipes. Mm-mm. Don't use fragranced wipes. You can use wipes, just unscented. So just be more mindful of the toxins that you're applying down there.
My mind is obviously on baby, right? Because that's where I'm at. And I'm even thinking of for our little girls, we start them off day one with wipes, because I have a little boy and, that's different when you clean a diaper. But little girl, who knows what those diapers and the wipes, you're starting your little girl off out of the womb to have a UTI, basically. With
that's
the wipes.
That's a really good point.
You're starting her off.
Yeah. So be picky, be snobby about the diapers you're using and the wipes you're using. And even the ointments, if she gets diaper rash or something, be very mindful. Yeah.
You're starting her off right there. I can't even.
With a compromised vaginal ecosystem. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And all of us. And so, all of us should be testing our pH monthly at least, if not more, if you're symptomatic, because half of the battle of having a vaginal microbiome is a proper pH, which needs to be between a 3.0 and a 4.5. And the majority of my clients come to me and I make every single one of them. Part of my program is testing pHs consistently. I'm like, what's your pH update? Because I know my job is to fix that pH in order to stop these breakouts and everything else going on, right? Mm-hmm. So I do have, if everyone's like, oh my gosh, where do we get all this stuff? Okay, so I do have an Amazon store through the link in my bio, and I have two different testing kits. I got all kinds of cool stuff in there. Yeah. If you guys,
we'll have it all linked here for the podcast in the show notes. You guys will find it, so you can absolutely check it out. I know my community is always like, I gotta get the pH strips. I gotta get all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I follow my own rules. When I went to get my PAP a couple of months ago, I brought my own lube. I have pH test strips in my bathroom. I'm trying to teach my daughter to have her do it. Okay, so number 3, opportunistic pathogenic bacteria, pathogens, and opportunistic fungi. Okay, that was a mouthful.
That was a lot.
So, yeah. All of us have, it's common to have opportunistic pathogens or bacteria or pathogens or fungi. Okay, those are the categories that the infections to the imbalances of the vagina that fall under on my test. Okay, so it's normal to have them. It's just to what degree do you have them? That's the concern. Okay, so when we have low or even missing good bacteria, then these bad guys have the opportunity to dominate the vaginal ecosystem. Okay, and this is exactly what I see happening to every one of my clients. So remember, when we're dealing with bacteria in our gut and in our vagina, it's all about a dominance game. So our goal as women is to always be actively taking bacteria into our physical body to be able to keep the dominance of the good bacteria high. Okay. And we can talk more about that. So this is the interesting part that I really want to touch on with everyone, okay? Because there's a huge misconception of why things are happening, and everyone blames it on Candida. Okay, I want you to know that there is almost never Candida in the picture. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So everyone's like, oh, I got to treat Candida. I'm like, no, honey. No, that's actually, out of all the women I've tested, no one has come back with Candida. In fact, what I see is the number one opportunistic pathogen causing all of these problems is Gardnerella. Gardnerella, you guys, is almost every single person I test, they have a 50% or more dominance of Gardnerella in their vagina. And Gardnerella causes thin, grayish white or white discharge with a strong fishy odor. There you go. It's your BV. Gardnerella is what causes BV. Okay. It also causes burning during urination, pregnancy problems such as preterm delivery or spontaneous abortions. It also puts you at a higher risk of contracting STDs, STIs, and HIV, and it causes pelvic inflammatory disease. That's like 50% of everyone here.
That was me in my 20s. Yeah, I had BV for 2-3 years straight. Couldn't get rid of it.
So your ecosystem was probably totally out of balance, like I normally see. The second one that the majority of my clients have next to the Gardnerella is called Megasphaera. Okay. This is the second opportunistic pathogen that causes BV, preterm births. It can cause pregnant women to have increased levels of mid-pregnancy or spontaneous preterm deliveries, and it increases your risk of HIV. So one of the things that I've personally started doing, because I'm finding so many of my clients infected with these two particular bacteria, is I'm sending them all back to the doctors to get HIV tests. And I know that's kind of scary, but it just is what it is. I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've noticed is the women that come in and work with me and they have the low good bacteria, some of them don't even have good bacteria. It doesn't even exist. And their entire vaginal ecosystem is just Gardnerella, Megasphaera. And then the one next to that is called urea plasma. That's the third highest infection that I'm finding. And these three typically come together. They're besties. The urea plasma.
They're the mean girls.
They are. They're the bullies, right? They're bullying all the little good guys. Urea plasma causes unusual and unpleasant vaginal discharge, watery vaginal discharge, greenish discharge, fishy odors, painful urination, lower abdominal pain, vaginal itching, redness, and inflammation. So you can see how, now that I've broken all those down, why we have these symptoms and how, like, it's not candida, not at all.
I'm personally remembering my 20s, and I would like this was my 20s, and I would cry. I would be in so much pain.
Yeah.
I would cry.
It hurts.
I would go to the doctor and I'd get another antibiotic or another antiviral, another antifungal, and I would literally cry. It would be so painful. Everything hurt.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's miserable.
But I know other women listening. I know other women in my like this is their life, and it's like back to back to back to back. They can't figure it out, or it's back to back UTIs, or what?
A lot of, and thank you for saying the UTIs again, because a lot of these infections will directly be connected to constant UTIs as well. I have a client right now who her ex-husband he was not nice. And she was having vaginal issues because I think she contracted HSV2 at 19. And, so she struggled with the odors and the discharge and stuff. And because of his comments, she douched consistently for about 10 years. And I've never seen so many weird bacteria on a test. I mean, it was literally like a soup of like 15 different bacteria. So that's why please don't douche. Don't do it. Yeah. You're actually going to worsen your conditions. Okay. So that's the opportunistic pathogens. And like I said, that's the most common, the Gardnerella, and that's all BV. Okay. So, and the thing with BV is I kind of look at it as it's just a broad term. Bacterial vaginosis. It's a broad term. But when we get down to it, what's causing the bacterial vaginosis? Well, it's the Gardnerella, the Megasphaera, the urea plasma. That's what's really happening. And then next to that, I test for pathogens, which is like a staph, and a urethra, but those never come up. And then next to that, I'm always looking on the test. We look for candida, which no one has had in any fungi yet.
Wow.
Yeah. So interesting, huh? Because we're all made to believe it's candida, but
yeah,
it's very rare that I see that. So that's the overview of the vaginal ecosystem. We got the good bacteria, we got the pH, and then we have the bad guys that are kind of always lingering in the background, but it's all about keeping them in check and suppressed. Does that explain some stuff?
And it explains why we get herpes. Like, obviously we came in contact with somebody that has herpes. Like, I'm not going to deny that. But that's why some people are like, they get it the first time, or some people it takes 5 years, It's like, what happened here? And it's when your immune system is shot, and it's when you have an overgrowth of bacteria, and it's when you have all these other issues going on, and you
don't have the acid, right? We need that vaginal acid to literally like kill things. So if you're missing the good bacteria, so you're alkaline, you don't have the acid to protect you. I mean, it's such a double whammy. But all of it can be repaired. Okay. I just want you guys to know that. Like, that's what I do. Like, I rebuild vaginas, and it's great. So I've seen it, right? So you put all of this together, all of these things, these factors we're talking about, and every single woman's vaginal ecosystem can be categorized into a community state type. There's 5 different community state types. Community state type 1 is the best one that we all want, and that is a Lactobacillus crispatus dominant community state type, which basically means you got a really healthy microbiome. And this community state type 1 is not associated with any disease or infection, and it's very stable. And the Lactobacillus crispatus, it lowers the vaginal pH, and it produces the good acids that we need to stay healthy. And then there's then there's community state type 2, which is the Lactobacillus gasseri dominant. And this one also produces some good acids that contribute to inhibiting STIs and lowers the pH. So they're very similar. But then there's the third one. And these next two state types are the ones that I see the most. Type 3 is a Lactobacillus inners dominant. There's that one that's like, we don't really like you, even though I don't know why science. I'm like, I've questioned that. Why does science consider this a good bacteria if it's not producing the right acids to protect the vaginal ecosystem? So, so this one, it says, unlike other Lactobacilli species, L. inners only produces the bad acid, which may be less protective and may contribute to a imbalanced pH and is associated with preterm birth and pro-inflammatory responses. Yeah. And so type 4 is a non-lactobacillus dominant state, which means non-lactobacillus. All of the 11 bacteria that are that can and do exist in our vaginas are all the Lactobacillus family. They all start with that name. Okay. But our favorite one is the crispatus. So type 4, which I see most women in, it basically means you have no good bacteria in your vagina. You're non-lactobacillus dominant. And this state is a less stable environment, and it's associated with dysbiosis and BV, bacterial vaginosis. And it says, while it's worth noting, this can be considered normal for many women because so many women have this, especially if they're postmenopausal, as decreases in estrogen are associated with decreases in lactobacilli. So hear that out too. So as we age, we actually our natural lactobacilli good guys can decrease as well. So we need even more probiotics for our vagina as we get, as we age. And this state type, number 4, the non-lactobacillus dominant, is linked to higher risk of UTIs, STIs, and BV. And that's the most common.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So lactobacillus 5, community state type 5, I would love to see this on like a retest, but this is considered a stable microbiome, and it actually provides protection against STIs and BV, and is associated with a low risk of infertility and pelvic inflammation. So it can be acquired. You could actually make your vaginal ecosystem so strong that it literally will protect you.
So are you saying that a lot of, I'm obviously on baby. We're talking about herpes. We're talking about BV. I'm talking about baby too. Because that's a question I get all the time is, can I be a mom? I have herpes. So are you saying that a lot of the bacteria in our vaginal ecosystem impacts our fertility?
100%.
Wow.
Yeah. You can literally have infertility if your vaginal ecosystem is not healthy, is not set up appropriately. If it's in that wrong dominance of the bad bacteria, then you can have major infertility issues.
And is that implantation or is that egg quality, or both?
I'm not totally sure on that, but I would imagine the
implantate, like they're just not a good house. Like the environment is not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
The house is falling apart.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we covered the basics.
Okay.
I hope everyone learned from that. That was my point. Let's talk about why you're taking antivirals and still getting breakouts, and why you struggle with breakouts right before your period.
Please, because this is a hot one.
Okay. So breakouts on Valtrex. Why are they're still happening? For a few reasons. Okay. So number 1, Herpes strains have been around for decades. Okay. They're
Thousands.
not new, guys. They're not new.
No.
Okay. They have been getting past, and they have been mutating, and they have been getting stronger, and they adapt to the medications. Okay. And so it's now safe to say that we're probably to a point where these bugs are stronger than the pharmaceuticals' strength, the actual prescriptive strength. Okay. The pharmaceutical companies are not increasing the strength of the antivirals. They're just year after year prescribing the same old stuff. Okay. And these strains are getting stronger. So you may just need to not take a prescription and instead be using like the extra strength lysine or the lysine monolaurin by Natural Pure Labs, because you can control the dosing. So you can actually increase your dosing when you need it, or you can bring it down if you don't need a high dose at that moment. But in my opinion, I think that's a big thing going on. Okay. So next to that, you mentioned the immune system earlier. This is a big one. Let's talk about this. Okay. The majority of women don't realize that 7 days before we start our period, our immune system lowers 80%. So that's a lot. Okay. So think about this. It's like our immune system gets kind of notified, like, okay, guys, we're going to start, prepping the house, right? Because they're thinking like babies, reproduction, we're going to start prepping the house and we need your help over here. So it's like they call your immune system over to your reproductive organs, and it's really focused in on that. And the whole rest of your body is just left open. And so these opportunistic, I call them stealth viruses, because they are these sneaky little ninjas, right? The second they sense that the immune system, because they can monitor all the hormones in your body going on, the viruses, and they do. The second they sense that things are compromised, there they go. There's their window.
Here we go. Yeah.
Right. And so that window of 7 days before your period, and I've been mapping this like clockwork on my clients, 7 days. I have them double all their nutrients and to boost their immune system, double their antivirals. We're bringing in a lot of herbs and things to really just hone in on that 7 day window. Every day. They're taking extra things to support their body to be able to keep that opportunistic virus in the background. Tell it to go get in the corner. And it works. It works. We can stop the breakouts from happening as long as you're aware of this and you put it on. We set timers on our calendars of like, hey, my client's starting her period and on this day, here's 7 day, boom, start your regimen. Up your vitamin C, up your vitamin E, up your lysine monolaurin, increase everything. We do, I've been using some of Anthony Williams' shock therapies with golden seal and vitamin C, and really just like saturating themselves with extra nutrients to be able to boost that immune system. And so that's what I've seen. The second thing that I've seen contributing to the breakouts is eating eggs. And everyone hates me for this, but I literally see the connection. And I had to stop eating eggs to be able to help decrease my fatigue and my breakouts as well. And so there's the food triggers, which is eggs, dairy, gluten. They feed viruses. You have to understand that everything that we put in our mouth, everything in our body eats it too. The viruses eat it, the bacteria eat it. We're not just like by ourselves. Like we're feeding a whole
economy in there.
Exactly. you got your stealth viruses, and you got your strep bacteria, and you got your HSV1, you got your Epstein-Barr, you got your shingles. Like, everyone has so many different things going on. And so I'm not trying to like upset everyone about eggs, because I know that's a beloved food. And if you want to learn more about that, I do have a video on my YouTube page called All About Eggs. And you can see for yourself, I have a scientist shoving a flu virus in eggs and all these things. You guys can go check out to learn more about that. But you got to look at your triggers too. And then the next thing that I see is that the pH that's off. So it's like you have this combo, your immune system lowers, you got a pH that's off, and then it's like, hello, breakout, right? So it's like just this ripe environment for the consistency. So, if you listen to everything I'm saying, the underlying thread is like, it's like boosting all your armies, all your soldiers. They need that extra love and care so that we can keep the bad guys away, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love how you just suggested to, 7 days before your period, that's when you start to take care of yourself. And I tell women all the time, like, we've been fed this, like, I can do anything on my period with all the commercials that came out in the 90s with tampons and like, I can do this, I can do that. And I'm like, yes, you can, you absolutely can, but it's also a time for you to take care of your body. It's also a time for you're getting, your body's actually going through a lot.
Yeah.
You don't realize it.
It's busy.
It's busy. It's time for you to take care of your body.
Yeah.
And acknowledge that.
It really is. And, like, back in the day, women used to segregate themselves on their period and go away for a couple of days. Like, I love that. Like, I think that's great, because like, here's the other thing that's really a huge issue. And I hear you talk about this on the support calls when I come in, and it's that fight or flight anxiety, living in that constant state of stress. And some people are just so chronically depleted in their gut bacteria that they can't even not be in fight or flight because their gut is in fight or flight. And we can talk more about that another time if you want. But, when our adrenals, which are right here, when they're constantly pumping, right? Because we're chugging caffeine, we are fighting with our man, our kids are stressing us out, our boss, whatever, like, I understand that it's just can be just life, right? But if we're constantly living in that state, those hormones that your adrenals are pumping out, those are just more fuel for the viruses. They literally fuel the fire. The viruses actually feed on those hormones. The viruses are like vacuums. Okay. They suck everything into them, and then they feed on it. And that's what gives them the strength to multiply. They have a 6-week life cycle. So they multiply, they grow, they travel through your bloodstream, they nest and they infect new areas of the body, and then they die. So while they're alive, they're absorbing your food, they're absorbing your hormones, they're absorbing your heavy metals, your Tide detergent, and all the things that they feed on, and to continue to grow and drive you nuts. And then they die. And then their little viral corpses are now poisonous too. So that's why I have all of my clients start cleansing and detoxing too, to get all of that out of them. But it's really important to keep your stress in check. Like, so many people, like, we hear this so much, like, meditate, self-love, self-care, stress is a killer. It literally is a huge part of the problem. When you are, thinking and you're in fight or flight, you're feeding that, you're more susceptible to a breakout. It lowers your immune system. It's just a big circle of shit show circle. So like going outside at sunset and watching the sun go down and having a gratitude moment and relaxing, or whatever you do to relax, is so crucial to keeping breakouts from constantly coming back as well. Just is.
I was going to say, I don't think a lot of people understand that they're in the fight or flight. It's just a state that you're in.
Yeah.
It's a state, and it's the old shoe that fits and it's comfortable. Like, I used to love it. I used to love that phase. I would like feed off of it. I was my 20s. I loved it. It was like I would have my caffeine in the morning, and I would just like, that was that was it. I loved it. And little did I know, then that's weird. I have thyroid issues at 30. Weird. I wonder how that happened. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know why that happened, and I like to say, for us living with herpes, we get herpes outbreaks. That's what our triggers are. That's what happens. Other people that don't have HSV, that don't have herpes, they have their own set of issues. So don't think that, oh, I wish I didn't have herpes because I was, if I wasn't so stressed, I wouldn't have outbreaks yet. No, you would still be dealing with stuff. You'd still be dealing with health issues. They would just be different. It would be migraines. It would be chronic fatigue. It would be IBS. It would be infertility. It would be all these, or painful periods. It would be all these other things that you don't associate with. It's literally your stress that's causing it. It's the inflammation in your body.
You're right. Everyone that has a discovery call with me, they're so symptomatic in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. And I get it. I used to have 25 daily symptoms too,
Right.
Yeah. But it is just so important to understand the beautiful balance of all of this, so what do we do about it? Okay. Because that's always what do we do about it? Well, number one, we got to focus on building back, because a lot of people just don't even have good strains of the vagina. So we have to focus on building back or building up our vaginal ecosystem with targeted strains of bacteria. Okay. Next, we have to keep our immune system nourished and strong. We have to actively boost it in that 7-day window. It does actually apply to ovulation too. I know I said just your period, but there are women that will get breakouts before their ovulation too. And that's also because you lose your immune system drops 40% right before your ovulation too.
See, I'm more of I'll get an outbreak around ovulation. I don't get them around my period.
Mm-hmm. It's more common for it to be period, but it does happen on ovulation too. Mm-hmm. And it's the same concept. So you can use that 7-day window before your ovulation, and you can boost your immune system if that's your trigger window.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to really be mindful of that time frame, if that's what's going on with you. And then we need to actively kill the viruses and their biofilms. And that's what I love. Yeah, we've talked about that before. That's why I love Natural Cure Labs. They have the biofilm, specifically the supplement for that. And then, that goes hand in hand with the lysine or the monolaurin or the combo.
Can you explain what a biofilm is? Because I think a lot of people have no idea. And yeah.
So a biofilm is like a mucosal layer. It's a barrier that the virus puts around itself to protect itself. It's a shield. It's a shield made out of mucus and sort of, if you know what fascia is, like connective tissues. Mm-hmm. And it's its literal defense mechanism. And so it's important to break down the biofilm and then use antivirals once it's susceptible to kill it. And one of a natural biofilm buster that I love is green tea. Green tea is amazing. It's a natural biofilm killer, and then it feeds the good bacteria in the vagina very nicely as well. It's a really great, just general good vaginal go-to. Obviously, try to get a loose leaf that's organic. And then next to that, we need to swap out the trigger foods, and we need to bring in more antiviral and high nutrient dense foods that feed both the good and the vaginal bacteria, because this also boosts the immune system. You have to remember that, or if you don't know, the gut bacteria is the immune system. They are one and the same. Your gut bacteria creates your immune system. And so it's important to be taking really good targeted gut probiotics and really good targeted vaginal probiotics to be able to boost both ecosystems. And yes, they do work together. The gut bleeds over into the vagina, and they do go hand in hand. Okay. And then the next thing is I really encourage topicals. You know, like if you guys aren't using a topical to heal the sores faster and help decrease the pain and the discomfort from the breakouts, I know Alexandra has a really great one. I also personally use the skin gel by Alolife. I unfortunately, I had a double whammy. I got sick and then started my period all in the same week. And I had my first breakout last week in 5 years.
Oh.
I know. I was like, opportunist. So I was using the skin gel in my lip to heal that up, and it decreases the pain. So that was nice. But okay, so one of the things, because I've had so many of your amazing community members coming to me and talking to me, I literally would lay awake at night and I'm like, how can I possibly help everyone on this planet? Because there's so many women that are all over the world. And so I started creating a document, and I released my first one. It was called the Antiviral handbook. And I gave about 50 away for free, and it was really good. And then I was learning more and more and more with, working with my clients and studying the vaginal ecosystem. So I actually took that one down and I revised it. And so now I have a new document called the F Infections Viral Support Handbook. And this is a 30-page digital handbook that I made just for you guys. Ooh. Because I can't possibly help everyone. And so it's a very comprehensive, excuse me. It's a very comprehensive handbook, and it includes 4 viral support supplements that go into, like we talked about, breaking down the biofilms and going after the virus and or bacteria. It includes a vaginal probiotic that helps build the Lactobacillus crispata strain specifically. It also has a really high therapeutic grade gut probiotic and 8 additional supplements that are herbal, mineral, and water and fat soluble vitamin based in order to boost the immune system and support the nervous system. And it also has a complete list of the foods to avoid and or the foods to swap out, the foods to swap in, including drinks. And it has topical support recommendations for not only just genital and oral breakouts, but for facial acne as well, that help with decreasing pain and swelling, and to be able to help and restore your skin so your sores go away faster. So this is available on my website, coachsharejoy.com, and it's an instant download. When you purchase it from my shop, you'll be able to open it right away. All of the links are clickable, and it does support international clients, except for Canada and India, unfortunately. Sorry, ladies. But okay, so here's the thing. If you're in those locations, you can purchase this, but the links for shipping aren't going to necessarily work for you. But you could take the products and try to search them somehow in your area and see if you could find them and buy them.
They can still get the download.
Yeah.
They're just not able to get the products that are within the download.
Yeah, there's a lot of restrictions in certain countries with products
Yeah.
that are allowed to get shipped in. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, but they can still download it and get everything. Yeah.
This would be a great step. So I would suggest anyone that's listened and goes, I have just one of these issues that Sarah Joy talked about, or that Alexandra talked about, or that we're discussing, or whether it's outbreaks or whatever. I would say you need to call Sarah immediately. But if you're like, hey, I just want to dabble into this, I just want to get some information, obviously this is step one. This is going to be a great resource. Everyone, and men included, that are on my support group calls that hear Coach Sarah Joy speak, because men don't have vaginas. However, they have girlfriends, they have wives, they have partners. It is important for them as well to understand what is going on. And it's important for them to help prevent transmission to their partners. And so keeping his or her own gut health healthy and understanding, and maybe working with a partner. Like let's say a man has herpes and a woman does not, but we want to prevent transmission. I'm sure that she has some ecosystem kink that needs that needs a little help here. So this is also going to be very, very helpful for both sides, right? Obviously, women are the ones that have to deal with it, but to support your partner, this is another great thing. So I would say don't tune this out if you're a guy. But I would say step one, if you're like anything that Coach Sarah Joy mentioned, I would just go straight and call her and set up an appointment and get it done. But if you're like, well, I want to learn more, then yes, go to this download, find out, because she is a cornucopia of knowledge when it comes to the vaginal ecosystem. And I've never come across anybody that knows more. And I've never come across anybody that's like, no, I want to solve this. Like there's a solution and we can get through this.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, I do have what's called a discovery call. If someone wants to actually get testing done and work with me and have an individualized protocol developed for them based on their test results, that is my vaginal and viral program. That comes with or without coaching. So their budget would determine whether or not, they would determine whether or not they want to actually work with me, like for 6 months, to be able to repair and flip-flop the imbalances in their vaginal ecosystem. But if someone is maybe tight on money and has a budget, that's why I created the handbook, because not everyone can afford to work with me. And I understand that. So yes, this handbook is targeted specifically for the infections, but when you work with me and you get the testing, it is literally individualized protocols that we go through. Yeah, and we dive more into using suppositories and really repairing the tissue in the vagina. And I've gotten great results. And, one of the things that I've seen with women is when we empower ourselves to have a healthier vaginal ecosystem, it brings us alive in all ways, right? It repairs our confidence. It makes it so we want to date. It makes it so that intimacy is pleasurable again. And it's so incredible. And that's why I also was just like, I have to do something. I have to make this document, because so many women, I can feel them just shutting down. And it's so sad. And they're so unhappy. And I'm like, no, fuck that. We're not living this way, guys. So yeah, I'm here for you. You guys can come to Instagram, follow me at coach.sarah.joy, DM me. That would be the first way. If you want to talk to me, you're welcome to come in. Otherwise, you can go to my website and you can book calls. You can order my booklet, whatever you want to do. But Alexandra, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I can't wait to hear the feedback, because I know you guys are going to come talk to me, and I can't wait to hear it. And I will pop into your community soon.
Yep.
And so if you guys aren't in her community, join, because I'm in her private Slack channel. People DM me all the time in there. She's tagging me, like she said earlier, on questions that people need support with. And when I have time, I just try to like literally show up in her support calls and just give support for free, you know?
And it's always like, you know, I've obviously heard a lot, and every time I'm like, oh, I learned something new every single, like today I've learned new widgets, new information. So,
Good.
well, thank you, Coach Sarah Joy, for joining us again on the Life with Herpes podcast, dropping your knowledge, dropping all of this that we are not, when we're diagnosed with herpes, it's like, wah, wah, wah. And then I have all these other problems, and how do I deal with it? And So we're going to build the ecosystem. We're going to build our vaginal and gut health. And we're going to combat this so that you can go out and you can live a beautiful life, and you can live a life with herpes, and it's not even going to impact who you are, who you date, how you do things. It's just not going to even be a part of your life. So that's what we are here together as a team to do.
Exactly. That's right.
All right, my friends, I'll see you in the next episode. And thanks for joining. Bye.
Bye.